Hey everyone, Cerise here, and I am here today with Sean from Isla Academy. Sean, can you please, I'm just going to have you jump right into it and take the mic because you have an amazing story. You go ahead.
Okay, so here we are. This is Isla. We are an international school located on the north coast of the Dominican Republic. We have approximately 100 students, 30 different countries. We serve from 2 years old all the way up through 18 years old, up through 12th grade. This is our 4th year in existence, my 6th year in the country. Originally came here 6 years ago to be a part of a project in Salcedo, which is a smaller town east of Santiago. And there we were a part of a building the Dominican Republic's very first gifted and talented public school. It was the first school to do the full 8-hour day. It was the first school to offer an engineering and architecture program, the first school to be a STEM school.
A STEM school.
Which means science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Okay.
We focus on those skills. Our first graduating class from that school went on to be the highest scoring, with the highest average nationally on the national exams.
Really? That's awesome.
3 of them received full scholarships to study in Western Michigan. Several of them received presidential scholarships. And one of the things that was so important, I think, about how we evaluate the success of those students that year is that they didn't just get into great universities, but they went on to do very well in those universities. They felt another thing coming from that smaller town is that many of them are looking for ways to give back to their community. It's a small town, but it's pretty close to a larger town, and as you can imagine, for most of their lives, they assumed if I'm doing well, I'm going to the city.
Very nice. Yeah.
4 years ago, we moved up here. Our school is located right in between Cabarete and Sosua.
Very conveniently located, actually.
Yeah, right in the middle. We're right on a beach called Playa Laguna. And tucked back here in this beautiful neighborhood with big trees
and easy to find.
Yeah, easy
right
to find.
Down the road.
And convenient for, people from all over. We have students from as far as Jamal, which is up in the mountains, and Cabarete, and as far west as Puerto Plata. So pretty much stretches the...
And they drive in, because that's really, each day, to come here, even if, like, let's say you have a 16-year-old student, they can get on the guagua, public car.
We actually have a couple kids who come for themselves. We have several. We're sort of buttressed here by a couple big neighborhoods, Seahorse Ranch and Ocean Village, Playa Laguna, La Mulata right across the street, or not La Mulata, Lomas Mirones is across the street. So there's quite a lot of kids who actually ride their bikes here.
Really? Yeah. See, that's the life.
And we have, I think, a pretty cool selection of families who carpool and organize and get together.
Nice.
But anyways, the idea when we came here was always to try to bring a new model of education to the Dominican. I have been an international teacher in the United States, in South Korea, Vietnam, and Tanzania. And having taught from preschool to university, I was a family counselor, I've been really all over the board in terms of the types of kids, types of cultures, even the types of ages that I've served. There seemed to be one very overarching thing to me that defined success for kids, and that was whether or not they actually loved what they were doing. So our entire focus has always been to flip the switch on every kid, and really to keep it there.
Nice.
We spent 2 years while we were in the previous project in Salcedo looking for the right location. We came here and found this place, and I knew right away that this was the spot. And so the first year, our very first day of school, we had 7 students. 7. One of them being my daughter. One of them being the cleaner's son. I mean, we didn't
That's awesome.
And
Who's
I thought,
we?
I said, well, at that time.
Who opened it?
myself, my wife, and one other teacher, a friend of mine who came from China. He's an American, but he had come from China. He was there. He was very instrumental. His name is Franco Rodriguez. Very instrumental in helping us build that first year because he had experience as an IB coordinator. If you're not familiar with IB stands for International Baccalaureate. It's a very prestigious model of education worldwide, and so he helped us to model our curriculum around the ideals of IB, which is primarily about inquiry. The name of our model of education is inquiry, which means investigation. We teach students how to ask the right questions and how to find the answers to those questions. It's far more important than just receiving the content.
It's like giving them the fishing rod and telling them to fish. Exactly. Research minds.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
So the first year, I assumed that we would have that we would grow fairly organically. I thought, as most other schools that I've been a part of grew one grade level per year, that would be the model. So we opened up with a young classroom, a kindergarten classroom, and then because we had this big space here, and I was aware that there are a large number of people in this community who were not enrolled in other schools here. They were doing some form of homeschooling education.
Okay.
I had been put in contact with them, and so I contacted several of these families and said, just use this space. You can continue doing your thing. You can come up here and use this space, and your child will have a teacher they can ask some questions from. They'll have some friends here. They can kick the ball around. They can have lunch. They can have a little bit of a typical experience while still giving you the freedom and low cost that you wanted.
Huh.
And so
that's interesting. Are you a Sagittarius?
I know,
okay.
Aries, but
businessman.
But so that isn't actually what we became, but that idea and that feeling of, I think, making it feel like home, right?
Yes.
Treating students like family, and figuring out how to utilize the space and the resources that are here to give them the best that you can. Led us to end up slowly having these students trickle in from a variety of places that were not homeschool students. Nobody came up here to study homeschool that first year. Everybody ended up coming up here to join what was a very non-traditional program.
Right.
And so at one point, we had the early childhood class that was like 3 to 6 year olds, and the other class was everything else. So at one point, I had students as young as 2nd grade, 8 years old, in the same class as students in 9th grade.
Kind of like back in the Little House on the Prairie days, right?
One-room schoolhouse.
Right.
I taught them all that. We had about 14 at the biggest until we were able to hire an additional teacher.
Wow.
But when you're teaching that range of ages, the thing that's very clear is that you can't teach them all the same content. Right? You cannot discuss all the same scientific facts, do all the same math. You can't do it because there's such different levels. You can teach as a whole the skills that will allow them to be independent. So when you get a group of students together, you're teaching them things like presentation, how to research, how to collaborate, how to self-study, all the things that, how to motivate themselves, how to schedule themselves. So that way, when you set up places around the campus for them to learn, that gives you the freedom to move about and work with individual kids or small groups, while the others can go about their business and continue learning, develop these big personal projects. Within that first year, as we started to grow little by little, people from other schools started to come over here, from the community started to come over here, and this next year we had 86 students.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was
the next year. Yeah. So you
went from 7
to 86.
To 86 in 1 year.
Congratulations. Wow. You're welcome. That's amazing.
Yeah, it almost felt like a new year.
Right.
Like,
right.
Like we're starting over again.
For sure.
You go from the one-room schoolhouse to now you've got enough students for students in every grade level.
Yeah.
One of the things that we maintained was mixed grade classes. So every classroom here has 2 grade levels.
Oh, yeah. Good stuff.
And it's really amazing, I think, because one, it allows us to focus on hiring the very best teachers. I don't need to water down this place with 15, different teachers, and 3 of them are here for a vacation only.
Right.
We find the strongest 8 or 9. We find that top group, and we put them in front of as many students as possible. Second, if you're a teacher who's going to have students from 30 different countries like we have here, all over the world, they're all different kids. They all have different strengths, all have different interests. If you walk into a classroom and you see that you have students in 3rd and 4th grade in there, then you know immediately that you cannot simply just teach from whatever experience you've had in the past, just read the script from the book and go. You know that you've got to connect to each one individually. And so everything's focused sort of like that first year, which is you're still focusing on skills. You're still focusing on teaching students how to be great learners. You're still teaching students how to collaborate, and then you're able to pull students aside individually to work on those individual fundamental skills that they need. So you can read with a student at their reading level, you can work on math at their particular reading level, but then bring them back into the larger group to do science and social studies together.
Wow, I like that.
The other thing that we maintain is that we integrate learning. And so every 6 weeks, every class is working on a different central idea. That central idea is always a science and or social studies type concept. And everything that we do, from art to music to writing to math, is all connected to that idea. Okay?
Wow, I like that.
So that at the end of the 6 weeks, the students have a very deep understanding of that very large concept.
Right.
And I think probably the most important feature is that on the last day of that 6 weeks, which is coming up next Friday for us, we have what we call presentation day. So we invite the entire community in, families in, everybody in, and every single student presents a personal project related to the central idea of that unit. So we have students who put on plays, we have students who write novels, we have students who create websites or blogs, we have students who film documentaries, we've had spoken word poetry, we've had board games, we've had...
you mean like creating a board game?
Yeah, everything. Everything they create. So what happens is that early in the unit, once they begin learning this particular topic, their wheels start turning about where they want to put the focus of their research. As they do that, they meet individually with the teachers and propose an idea, which we call a driving question, a big, deep research question. And then they also propose how they're going to present that question. And so the teachers work alongside them to make sure that, one, that they're diverse in the type of things that they do, so you don't have the same kid always putting out the same type of project, because you want to connect to different parts of your brain, and you want them to branch out as well.
That is really awesome. You're getting them to think and create from all different points of references, like, because we tend to get stuck in a certain groove all the time, right? And so it's nice that you're showing them how to tap into all those different wires.
I just met with a mom, a Canadian mom, actually, the other day, whose daughter has been here.
A what mom?
A Canadian.
Oh, Canada in the house.
And her daughter's been here for 3 years now, and she said something has happened this year where she started to notice the approach that her daughter has to just other things in life, because she's so accustomed to this regular creation of a big project. It requires collaboration, it requires planning, it all builds to a big point, to a big deadline, knowing that you've got to bring in outside sources, you've got to put all these things together. It's changed the way that she approaches other issues in her life, which I think is an important point. And because, we like to say that we have really no idea the world that we're necessarily preparing the kids for. We don't know what it's going to look like in 20 years. I know it doesn't look like now what it looked like for me 20 years ago. But we do feel pretty confident that if we can create students who know how to ask the right questions, who know how to create, they have a process of creativity, who understand how to communicate their vision and share their ideas with people, then you can guarantee that those people feel like they have something to contribute.
Absolutely. You're making little important people here. I get such a good vibe here, such a good feeling, even from you, from the atmosphere, but I'll get more to that. I have a question. You've been here for 4 years.
Yeah.
First year, 7. Second year, 86. Right now you're in the 4th year. The 3rd year, last year, what was different from the 1st year to the 3rd year? Like, or even from the 2nd year?
The 3rd year, the biggest difference, I think, was this thing that I had taken for granted a lot in previous schools that I worked for, and that's like school spirit.
School spirit,
yeah. Because we grew so quickly, because the vast majority of our students transferred from other schools, many of them weren't really sure if they were going to, who knows? My parent took me out of a school. I'm already from another country. They put me in this school. It's a brand new school. If it doesn't work out, maybe they've told me I'll go back. We're just going to try it out. That was a big feel from, I think, a lot of families.
Oh, okay.
And I think rightly so. I think,
because some of them are actually moving out of the country. Like, they're coming into the island to try to start a new life.
Correct.
And if that,
you get a mix of that, you get a mix of that, and people who don't know how long they're going to maintain their placement.
Right.
You get a mix of families who, for whatever reason, didn't seem to be either wanted to try another option because it wasn't working for them in other places, or actually were quite involved in progressive education and kind of recognized that we were doing things that were happening in other parts of the world. They wanted to see it. But I think in this part of the country, I think people, because it's a very transient town,
yes,
there's a lot of tourism. There's a lot of people who come half a year. There's a lot of people who are going to stay for a few weeks, then stay for a while. As you know.
Right.
There could be a little bit of a wait and see approach.
Yes.
Looks like a great idea, but actually, will they be able to get their ideas implemented in this country?
Right.
And so that second year where we were big, it was we didn't have any traditions. There was no traditions. Everything we did was the first time. Okay. We didn't have anything to rally around. We didn't have students who knew who were looking forward to the future. They really didn't know.
So like a mascot or something.
Yeah, I mean that's like one thing, but also, school culture. This thing like, oh, this is how we do it. This is the expected norm. This is the expected behavior. This is what a leader does. Here's where you have an opportunity to contribute to the school. Those types of things, we had to spend a lot of time in the first 2 years really imparting on our students that maybe the negative aspect of not having everything totally set in stone is one thing, but the positive aspect is that you get to have a voice in how we do these things. And so we have this one unique opportunity to take a look at how people do lunch, or how people do art class, or how people line up for assemblies. We get all these little basic things that schools seem to all do the same way. And we have the opportunity to question it and ask if there's a different way. Because once you start getting your own traditions, that becomes a little bit more difficult to do.
That's right.
And so empowering students to have a voice in that, it can be a lengthy process. You need to make it slower. But we thought it was always really important to get their feel, because ultimately you want to create an environment where the students feel that they have ownership.
Yes.
Because I think that leads to more of an expression of themselves, and also just it shows that they're going to do more. If they feel that they have a say here, they feel that they have a say in the types of projects they do, and the types of focuses that they study in their unit, and even some of the decisions about the rules of the school, then you find that they end up going beyond what you might ask.
Yeah.
And that's really what I talked about at the beginning. That's our job, is to light the fire and then support.
That's right.
They fire up.
Yeah, ignite the little souls.
Yeah.
That's right.
So I mean, we saw a lot of to tell a story about the school. One of the things I learned from the school in Sosua called Liceo Científico. There was a national politician who had organized a very famous painter to come in and paint a giant mural across the front of the school. It's going to be very beautiful, and he was very excited about it. And my colleague, the director at the time, said to him, "No, we don't want that. We would like our students to do it."
Oh gosh, this is like the 10th time I've gotten goosebumps since we started to talk here.
So
wow.
That created this big debate, Why would you want students who are, 15 and have perhaps limited artistic ability to go up and paint a mural when we have this person from the Capitol who's offering, at some pretty great rate, to do this thing that will be beautiful. And the answer was that we want students to walk past that every day, see that they did that, feel that this school is something that they helped to build, and then that creates that sort of spirit that we were talking about that leads to, the thing in schools that it's not talked about so much. There's no class for that in terms of there's no class in giving back to your community typically, or feeling pride in yourself or your education or your learning. And those things, we know that those types of traits are perhaps more important than whether or not you can do calculus or you understand the periodic table, you can write a university level. Those skills are great. And if you can find a way to give students the tools to achieve at those levels, that is fantastic. But they also need confidence in themselves. They also need to feel that they can take risks. They need to learn tolerance. They need to learn to be open-minded. They need to learn to be balanced in their life, and all of these things are super important in success of their adult life.
Yes.
And this town, actually, when I would meet with these new families and talk to them, it's full of kids, I guess former kids. It's full of adults who may or may not have been the top student in their class. And here they are living in the Dominican Republic in the North Coast. They're probably an entrepreneur of some type. They're doing well because they've lived here long enough to raise a family and put their kids through school. And they recognize the difference between themselves, the way they found happiness, and maybe others who may have outperformed them in English class, but didn't have those things that would give them the courage to go out and do this type of stuff. So,
that's very interesting.
That's what we try to focus.
Yeah, it's like empowering somebody. They might not fit into calculus, but they're still being empowered for what their skill is.
But also you have to make sure that when you're taking students to those high levels, like calculus and like biology, chemistry, physics, world history, that you also are explaining to them the relevance to their life. And that's part of a big reason why they do personal projects related to each one of those topics. It's that in order for that material and that hard work to feel like it's something necessary for them to hold on to, not just to pass the exam and push it out of their temporary files for a little bit, but to actually connect it to their life. And you have to give them, you have to show them that. And a lot of times in middle school, you'll start to see kids become disillusioned with education because they start to see the connection between what they're doing in their life. And then that creates cynicism in education and learning. you can have a cynical kid still make straight A's, but they just don't really care.
Right.
And that's the worst thing because
right, it is.
You can graduate college, you can go, you can get a master's degree, but if you lack that, then what is the?
Where's the passion come from? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. And here, like, and as soon as I walked in, these kids, it's like back in the day. Like I was saying earlier, like the Little House on the Prairie, when you were saying the one classroom schoolhouse kind of thing. That's the vibe here.
Yeah.
When you come into the schoolyard, you swear you're in like another place and time. Like, look at all this. Look, they're so happy. Like,
yeah, the kids are.
They're at peak. They're running things here. Like when we came in, you could tell that the kids are like, all right. They're comfortable. Mm-hmm. It's not like an uncomfortable feeling when you walk in. Like, I don't know. Like, you know how you can walk into some daycares and stuff, and the teachers are like looking at you like, back off, don't come over here or something. You know.
Well, I mean, we'll play music in between classes. The kids. This is the first school I've ever worked at where kids forget their shoes.
What do you mean?
They go home and there's 4 pairs of shoes still sitting on the playground.
You're kidding.
I don't know how
I love that.
That's a common thing. This is maybe the only school in the country, maybe, that doesn't have uniforms where like kids dress how they want to dress.
Right, that's right. No uniforms.
Because
that's
we
free.
Yeah, we want them to. Well, we have 3 expectations, only 3 big ones that I go over and over with the students, and one of them is to be kind, just in everything that you do, treat everybody with respect, your classmates, the older students, the younger students, the teachers, the staff, everybody, everything that you do with kindness. The second one is to be caring. We have animals that run around this campus, with a dog, with a cat, with chickens. We have, preschoolers that are going to walk right past high schoolers. And then we also make all of our own furniture here, so we don't want any kids. If you want to do graffiti, let me know and we'll find a wall for you.
And you mean you guys made this furniture?
We make
too?
everything.
Really? I'm just going to get a little shot down here. Look at this cool couch, guys. And what about that desk there?
That one we did.
That's really nice. I just want to show you guys
all
this
the
one.
Bookshelves and the tables that the students work in.
Bookshelves right here. This was made.
Everything.
Oh, wow.
Local materials.
Let me show you guys the ceiling. I love it. Oh, wow.
So you teach them to be caring. Mm-hmm. And then the third one, which connects to what we were talking about before, is to be original.
To be original. Beautiful.
And because you only have 3, then you can, there's sort of like our central ideas. You can hit lots of other points there, but when I talk about being original, one of the things I talk about, of course, is to be yourself. I think that's the hardest thing to do, is to be yourself.
Yes.
To be understanding of other people doing that as well.
Yes.
I can connect things like academic honesty to that. Mm-hmm. Because every student's doing their own personal project. Mm-hmm. We're teaching them the skills of research. It's imperative that if we're going to give them the freedom to try things, that the agreement is that the things that they try are their own work, right?
That's
right. If they find inspiration from someone else, including another student, we teach them how to give credit for that. Mm-hmm. And not just simply say, this is my grand idea that I did. Right. And so, and that gives us this sort of theme to go back to when any kid, has to cut their hair or has to try a different idea.
Nice.
When we do those presentation days, one of the things that we do is that we make sure that every single kid does a project. We don't it's not just an all-star show at the top, 15, it's everybody.
On that one day, everyone does their presentation.
We do the first half of the event is a whole group stage show where we have different students present in front of everyone. And a lot of times I will put some of the very best up there, or the most creative, some different type of project. But also, I am looking sometimes to get every kid a chance to do that during the year.
Wow.
So if you see a kid who pulls out their best, or does something particularly unique, and you want them up there, because once a kid gets in front of 200 people, takes a risk,
Absolutely.
speaks about something that they made, presents the work that they did, answers questions. They're going to be, not all of them, but a lot of them are very nervous before they do the first one. But after the first one or two, something happens, it changes, and they become comfortable in front of large crowds, which is another thing that, again, typically no one seems to want to teach that. That skill of getting in front of people and communicating your idea. And our kids are, I think, on the extreme end of being able to do that for large groups.
Right. So you're building education in these children, but you're also building like the fruit of character.
Right.
You know, like just wisdom, kind of comfort in oneself, and digging in oneself and giving it to the world. Right. This is very different than most schools I've ever heard.
Yeah, it is, and then it's not.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people because I spent the first few minutes describing a lot of the things that are unique about us. And a lot of people think, well, if it's so unique, maybe who knows what goes on? Maybe I had someone ask me one time, like,
oh gosh, yeah.
Do you ever give any tests? Of course we do. I had someone ask me if we use pencils.
Right. Oh no! We use twigs off the tree.
Sure,
and
they thought maybe they don't do anything there. I had someone ask me if there were even was a schedule. The kids just walk in and just go about their day. So I can get where those questions come from, because you think, boy, if it's different, who knows what's going on?
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, we do English and we do math, and we do science and social studies, we do Spanish, sports, art and music. All of our teachers are fully licensed. Most of our teachers have master's degrees. Most of our teachers have been teaching 10 plus years.
Wow.
We spend, around the same number of hours per week focused on each particular sort of, in a direction of each particular academic focus. We have a typical school calendar, the break around Christmas time, and the break around spring break.
Okay.
Typical school day, we start between 8 and 8:30, we finish at 3, we have after school clubs, we take field trips.
What about summer holidays?
We do a summer camp during the summer holidays, so we take off. The school there's technically no school classes for about 10 weeks, but we have at least a 3-week summer camp.
Nice.
There's a teacher training period at the beginning.
Okay.
Before the beginning of August. We start a week or two later than most of the schools locally, because so many of our families are from other countries, and particularly European families use that August month as a travel holiday.
Yes.
And then also, where the cost of travel goes down a lot the closer you get towards September.
Right. So that's very thoughtful, because families do have to spend a lot on flights. Yeah. And if you're starting like right when flight season is so expensive, then they're having to spend all that. Yeah. I have a question now. Yeah. Intuition. Okay. I mean, not intuition. Tuition. Tuition. What's all that about here?
Okay, so tuition is about, it ranges very little from say kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade, which is different from us in other schools. It's around $5,500 a year. US. Okay. It seems to be more of a move in this country to have a low first grade or second grade, and the tuition to ramp up as the kids get older. Right. And I understand why, because it can be a higher cost to educate students, but also, we know that it's our goal to educate the kids for the whole time. If you're going to be a family and be here, the ideal student for us is a student that's going to start from the beginning of their education and graduate here, and it's not as though your budget doubles if you're a family who's lived here for 10, 15 years. If you run a restaurant, if you that's the sort of service. And so I have seen families in this community have to leave sometimes because they couldn't, as their kids got older, they couldn't afford. They couldn't do it. They couldn't do that. So,
right. And I've heard it can get pretty pricey because I mean, how you and I met is a client contacted me. She's going to relocate here with 3 kids, and it was going to cost her, I forget now, but over 20,000 a year for 3 children, and she's a single mom. And Lisa on everything Sosua was like, this guy here right
Yeah.
away, and I contacted you. You got back to me immediately, so you're very active on social media.
Yeah, I think we were somewhat pioneers in this area, being active in social media.
Okay.
Well, I mean, to be honest, when we started the school, we didn't start with a large budget,
Mm-hmm.
and we were looking at how to promote. This is 4 years ago. Facebook was really, I think, at a peak at that moment.
Okay.
For us to be able to plan community events, plan activities, and do things that allowed us to keep building content and marketing in a way. Because I think for a school, you really want word of mouth. It can be very difficult for most people to imagine going into a school and like looking at it. Right? You don't know if you can do that during a school day.
Right.
If your kid's in another school, you certainly can't take them out and walk them in there. So how do you go and check out a school? We did lots of things that would create reasons for people to come in here, like after school activities,
Oh, nice.
Saturday events. We put movies on the lawn in the evening. And,
Nice.
We do a tradition that's probably our longest running tradition is do a parents' night out on Valentine's Day. So parents drop their kids off here.
Oh, that's
so
thoughtful.
they can go out and have a meal.
That's thoughtful.
Some of them don't have a meal; they just stay home. But
Yeah.
they get their own night.
Yeah, nice night, because that's what that makes the kids happy too, right? Valentine's, come hang out with their friends while their parents go reconnect.
And I met Lisa. Some of it that way, but also we spent 2 years looking for the right space. So
Okay.
This was 2 years looking all over the country. And Lisa had a villa or something somewhere. I remember going up and seeing it, a beautiful place. It wasn't the spot for the school, but it was a beautiful, beautiful place.
Nice.
And she told me about her son, and I was right there in high school and close. And so I got a chance to meet her family.
Nice.
And I mean, I just thought like I just want people to know that there are options.
There are. And your option is a very good one because not only are you located right by a beach, but and people want, the good Dominican, fresh air, tropical air, but your prices are reasonable because the research that I had to do afterwards for my client, I was like, oh my gosh, like it really is expensive to relocate and come here. And but aside from that, what I've also noticed about this school, coming in all the way from the highway, it's easy to get here. People can just come. Now, what about weekend? Because I get a vibe here, like you're always active.
Well, I actually live like 2 doors down, so
Okay.
In a sense, so you're
Right.
always active. I mean, we're here every day with different extracurricular things after school. From time to time, we do things on Saturday. We used to do things more often on Saturday, and I feel like we probably could do a good bit more. We always do our big events on those days, but so much of my Saturdays are often spent
right
doing the things that I can't get to during the week. The types of marketing, building the website, working on the curriculum, doing communication.
Let me ask you something. In terms of online and everything, because I want you to repeat what you had written, what you wrote to me, and I was very intrigued. I was like, hey, this guy really knows his stuff about international schools, what the curriculum should be, all this stuff. But I want you to quickly tell people how they can get a hold of you on Facebook or even online.
Okay, so the name of the school is Isla Academy. You can find us on Facebook under Isla Academy, on Instagram, Isla_Academy, the website, islaacademy.com. You can reach me by email at director@islaacademy.com or islaoffice@islaacademy.com.
And Isla is ISLA.
ISLA, and International School of Latin America.
International school.
Yeah.
Very important.
So, I think you mentioned people want to come to the tropics. They want to change the type of life that they have. If you're a Dominican family, you want to make sure your child has the best education. There's a lot of different reasons people come to this particular area or even come to this school. When I would meet with a lot of the families, when I was doing research to look for locations for the school, you got the sense that many families wanted to take a risk for themselves. They wanted to leave their job and maybe try something new, leave their way of life and try something new, but they had a lot of fear about taking a risk for their children, which I get, right? Because if you think about it, you went to the old traditional school. That's what allowed you to get to this point in life, whether you loved it or not. You graduated, maybe you went to college, and now you feel like, I want my kid to be able to make the same type of decision.
And be in a school that will be recognized if they decide to move back to America or something.
Correct. So then there becomes then I think what can be a common thing is that you go online and you start asking questions, right? And much like searching for your child's recent illness, the things that you find are the worst. You find the worst.
Right.
Your kid has a cough, and you start looking it up, and you think, oh my God, what's going on? And it turns out.
Yeah.
So it's the case. When children are educated outside of their home country, or even in their home country, but in different ways, each place in each respective country has their own sort of groups. So when people come and ask me or any other school in the area, will my child be able to go back to Toronto or New York or Paris, Tokyo, or wherever they're going to go? They'll be able to go back and jump right back in. Well, what most schools would love to be able to say is, yes, absolutely, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that is probably yes. The answer is 100% yes. But we shouldn't say that. We shouldn't tell families that their experience here is going to be just like what their experience would be there. It's impossible to do.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing schools have done, a lot of schools in the Dominican Republic, because of our proximity to the U.S., is sort of try to make themselves modeled after a U.S. school, right? As much as they can, which is fine, except that any American who's lived in more than one state will tell you that there is no American school. Every state makes decisions about the curriculum, the standards that they're going to do, the textbooks they're going to use, even the sequence of subjects or what subjects they're doing. A lot of states make those decisions locally. So you can live in Michigan one year, and then you can live in Tennessee the next year, and you can have very different experiences. You live in Canada, you're going to get a lot of Canadian history embedded into the social study curriculum. You're not going to get that if you move to another country, not on the same level. But you're going to get something else.
Right.
Your kid's going to experience going to school with people from other parts of the world. They're going to experience another language, another culture. And here, our job is not to prepare them to go back to New York. Our job is to prepare them to go anywhere they want to go. And when you go back to your hometown, or you're looking to university, or the next step, or your family's going to be here for 2 years, and now they're going to Costa Rica next for 2 years. As a family, the most important thing you can do is contact that next place and ask them, what do you need?
Right.
Okay? So the vast majority of schools all over the world are going to say, send us your last report card or your last transcript. And then when they come here for an interview, we're going to evaluate them ourselves.
Right, exactly.
Just because your child finished 3rd grade in Toronto does not mean that this school or any school anywhere in the world has to accept them into the 4th grade. Not at a private school. Perhaps in a Canadian public school they would have to, but that is not a guarantee.
Right.
And so no matter what happens, every school is going to have their own system where they evaluate and look at the kid and see where they're at. Right? the thing that you want to be sure of is that it's not my child's level. I mean, I think that's a big one. Once you've assessed that the teachers are qualified, that the students are coming out of there ready to do well, you can see some evidence that kids are doing well. The other thing you want to make sure is that there's no legal loophole that prevents me from going back. And the truth of the matter is, in almost all cases, there is. There are some countries and there are some places that will attempt to ask for certain things, like, for example, an apostille transcript. Okay? Now, Isla Academy can give you an apostille transcript. Every private school that I know in the area can give you an apostille transcript. And including the public schools can give you an apostille transcript. Because every school is accredited through some body, some organization, whether it's locally through the Ministry of Education here in the Dominican Republic, whether it's internationally through a U.S. organization, whether there's an affiliation with a U.S. school, whatever it is. And so if that's your fear, you contact and you ask them, tell us. Right. And the idea that a school would tell you, well, be careful. You know, if you don't get the stamp that we give you, then you might not be able to go back. It's just false. And we know it's false because everybody has seen students from other parts of the world move into the U.S., move into Canada, show up, join the school, go to university. We sent students from the public school in Salcedo to Western Michigan University. All right. Right? From a public school here. There are homeschool students that attend Harvard University. Right? So it's really unfortunate that people get that information that That's not to say that accreditation and all these other things are very, very important for a school. They help a school become organized. They can help a school collect data. They can make sure that your office is organized, and that's really great. But we shouldn't be telling families, we shouldn't be telling them that they must do this or else, right? Because